Hello everyone, and welcome back to Final Dreadnought Zone, the final part of Freedom Planet. I am one Welsh sheep yet again, and today we're going to finish off this fantastic, glorious game on Steam. You know, it's a fantastic stage, this fantastic game, you know, I've been gushing about this game the entire playthrough, folks. What can I say? It's a fantastic experience. But now this zone is one of the more tricksy levels of the game, well, at least this particular act, because we've got a lot of platforming that involves flamethrowers and what have you, and this is a bit more of a gotta go fast mentality in the game design in comparison to like the previous zone of the game, you know? Which, well, not previous zone, previous acts.
Oh no! My ship is being infiltrated! Whatever shall I do? This!
Mother! Alright, so when Lord Brevon starts talking like that with his glorious voice, seriously, I can't spread his voice actor. Honestly, I love the way the guy did Lord Brevon's voice. He's gonna start shooting all of the turrets, and all his last stand defenses are gonna activate and start attacking us. So we do need to go as quickly as we can, otherwise we may have a couple of issues progressing through this. You know, folks, this is the last stand, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, this isn't the final act of the Final Dreadnought Zone. We have one act to go after this, but you know, this is the next act coming up is a bit more of a vertical platforming challenge, and I think the way this stage seems to be designed is they have one Carol focus level and then one Lilac focus level and vice versa, so at least that's how it seems to me. So maybe at one point in the development the developers wanted you to switch between Carol and Lilac depending on what level you were going to or something, I don't know. Like, I know there's updates coming out in this game, like there's an entire hub area that's going to be added at a later point, so maybe later on the developers are going to add something like you can switch between Carol and Lilac through the main story perhaps? I don't know, I have no idea what the developers are planning with that, and I don't even know how long it'll be until they get around to adding all this extra functionality, but that's going to be something for another time, and I'm going to cover that when the game does get updated to have that extra content, you know, just to make sure the LP is complete. But I digress. Let's just continue moving onwards, and from this point on, folks, you're going to see enemies everywhere. The game is really on this last stand now, and they're going to ambush you with everything it's got, you know. There's enemies everywhere, and it's not impossible, don't get me wrong, it's more than possible to get through this. But if you do stand still, you're going to die. Do not stand still. Keep the gotta go fast mentality and run away from the troops in this one, folks. Remember, cowards live to fight another day, and fighters don't, I suppose. I don't know. I have no idea where I'm going with this, but you're going to be seeing a lot more of the teleporter thingies as time goes on in this part, because, well, the main teleporter thingies, they're like a major gimmick in the next upcoming act of the zone, you know. But like they're everywhere from the first three acts. But the biggest gameplay the biggest gameplay point of those teleport things is going to come into play next act, and they're very, very tedious and annoying to deal with, so it can be quite awkward. But hey, it's time for another boss fight. Oh great, now we're fighting against Mega Mila. I don't know if that's the official name, I guess that is, but her weak spot is her head, and to start things off, she's going to run to the left and right of the screen, and she's going to shoot these Sonic Boom shockwave attacks at you. Basically, duck underneath them whenever you can find an opening, and it'll go right over your head. So just be careful of that. And then afterwards, she's going to start shooting out green energy blasts at you. When she's running left and right like this, shooting the green energy blast, it's best to follow her, so when she goes left, you go right and hit her as she's driving past. As she's running past, you know. This isn't anywhere near as challenging a boss fight as the previous boss was, you know. It's tricky, but if you know what you're doing and you're careful, you can get through it just fine. Like when she's doing her Sonic Boom attack, one good way to deal a lot of damage to it is simply to be safe and wait for a good opportunity to use your Dragon Boost on her, because that will do a lot of damage. Every now and then as well, she will drop health pickups for you to utilize, so you know, this stage is more than easy enough to defeat. I'm doing a pretty bad job myself, but for the most part, we win. Mila is down and out. No, not Mila!
Mila? Mila!
And now it's time to get our dragon on as we head into the actual finale. The end game. There we go, that's an easier word to say, end game. Welcome to the final act of the final Dreadnought. And this stage basically is an entirely vertical platforming challenge. So we just need to go on all the way up the top and deal with these Mega Man reappearing, disappearing blocks, just like in Pango Lagoon where they had these things, which was more than annoying, I have to be perfectly honest. But just continue bouncing on all of the boopy thingies and just try and reach the top as quick as you can. You know, this is the final stretch, and it is a lot easier than the previous stage in some ways. Like, the actual challenge of the enemies and chances of dying are a lot lower. You know, you're not going to die so much in this particular act. However, in this zone you probably will fall down a lot, which means there is a lot of trial and error. You know, we have to repeat areas a lot just to get up to the top of the entire chasm that we're currently trying to progress up. So it's kind of wise to keep an eye on your boost gauge, you know, keep an eye on your special attack gauge, because that's something you're going to need to make note of. And this room by here is the most annoying room in the entire game, folks. If your toe so much as touches one of these teleporters, you're being sent all the way back down to the very bottom of the room. No joke, this took me a long time to actually do, because I accidentally clipped the teleporter and boom, I'm all the way back to the bottom of the stage, you know. It's a nice way to add some challenge without needlessly breaking your life count, you know. Although, like I have said, life counts, they don't mean jack in this game, you know. You can go through without any lives. But you're going to want to keep an eye out on your special gauge, like I said, and keep an eye out when you're meant to use it. Like by here, you're meant to ricochet off the wall, and if you fail, well... Eventually, you'll reach back up here, and I just cut past all the rubbish, because it took me like a good 6 or so attempts to get back up here and able to get up past this sequence. Like I said, the sequence isn't really annoying, folks, you know, it can be a pretty trial-y and error-y. But that's probably the more aggravating part of the stage over and done with. Now, for the most part, it's a pretty easy ride, you know. Although we do have to deal with insta-death lasers in a bit. Well, I say insta-death lasers as if there's multiple than one, but there's actually one insta-death laser in the upcoming sequence that we're dealing with, and it's actually the reason why they give us an extra life that I walk away from. Oh, I'm an idiot. But yeah, see this laser beam? Whenever it's not firing, that's your cue to go through. And you can tell it's about to fire because the particles will start to speed up, so you will know when it'll be safer to go. But just be careful of it. If you get caught in this laser beam, it doesn't matter if you have a shield, it doesn't matter if you're using invincibility frames, because this thing avoids invincibility frames, so if you're using your special attack, you'll die. Nothing will stop you from dying with this laser. And what's the point of this laser? I don't know, maybe it's a reactor thingy jigger that makes the ship fly? I don't know. I'm just making assumptions. I don't know what this thing does. It's just a giant laser beam that if you get caught by, you're going to disintegrate. So, don't get hit by it. And it does give you just enough room to get past this sequence. You know, it's a very tight time limit to get past all these vertical platforming challenges. And you can find yourself getting extremely overwhelmed by this thing. So just be calm, take your time, and should be able to get past it no problem, you know? Although whenever you do plan on going up to the next area, I do advise waiting until the laser goes off until going to the next area. Like for example, those lifts I just jumped off, waited for the laser to go by so I could just be safe, you know? Just being slow in the stage, there's no shame in it, just do it. Be slow, because otherwise you're going to get hurt, you're going to die. I think it's a neat little... It's actually pretty a pretty epic foreshadowing sort of deal, isn't it? You really get the feeling that you're on your way to the final boss. You're on your way to beating this game when you come up to this sequence. It's... I don't know, it's quite neat. But anyway, I'm trying to keep this magnet shield. I don't actually know what this thing's called. I'm going to call it a magnet shield. I'm going to keep this magnet shield for as long as I can anyway, purely just because I can get loads of gems that way, and it's loads of extra lives. Now, be careful going down that pathway. That is very tricksy, and I don't know if it's any harder to get through that pathway as... No! Oh my god. I don't know if getting through that left and right corridor is any harder as Carol or not, because it's about the same sort of deal, really. The only difference is, as Lilac, you can boost out of the way, so... But I digress. Let's just continue moving on up, and hopefully no stupid mistakes like that again. Hopefully. Fingers crossed, right? Nah, from this point on in the stage, I do a pretty good job. You know, I do die against the bosses, but for the most part, I edit out the boss fights, and you don't see much about that. So for this room back here, I just recommend continuously jumping, and the turret that's shooting you will never hit you, which is a pretty good thing.
Forgive you!
I have no use for forgiveness, especially from someone who puts my homeworld at risk for an oversized battery. I offer you one final chance. Leave now. So be it.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to begin the final boss. And the music for this final boss, oh my god. And the difficulty of this final boss, oh my god. This is a really, really challenging boss battle, and it definitely shows that you're at the end of the game. And now, you're going to die on this boss fight a lot on your first run. I am guaranteeing that. If you don't, if anyone says they didn't die the first time playing this boss fight, they are lying, because this is a really challenging battle. Now, this giant mech works like when we first bought it back in the Battle Glacier, but it's... Honestly, this mech thing's a little bit easier to deal with, and I think it's primarily because of the way the arena's built, you know, because the arena's a little bit easier to deal with, and he doesn't fly back so much whenever you reach the edge of the corners. Although he has gained a new attack, the ability to shoot these missiles out. Whenever he shoots these missiles, well, if you get caught by them, they're going to do a massive amount of damage, so be careful of that. Now, this boss fight is a 3-phase boss battle, but after every phase you do gain a lot of health refills, so you can quite easily beat this in one go if you know how to deal with it. I do die, like in this phase in particular, because this phase is quite tricksy, but you know, it's a very good boss fight. I think this is one of the best final bosses I've ever played in the game. It's just so good. Now, to start things off, when he accesses phase 2, he's going to transform into this giant Mega Man style robot, and whenever you hear him go, yeah, he's going to end up charging towards you, shoot a lot of fire on the ground. That's your cue to use your Cyclone ability to double jump and hit him in his weak spot, which is his head. Whenever he goes nya, I don't know how to explain it properly, he's going to turn into a Sonic the Hedgehog temporarily, and he's going to shoot himself across the screen. Avoid him when he's spinning, and simply wait until he lands on the floor, in which case he will shoot directly towards you, using the same dash move as when he goes nya. So yeah, there's that. And just like I said, Cyclone at him, keep on hitting him, and occasionally he'll also shoot out this screen nuke. Now, whenever he shoots out the screen nuke, it is his most powerful attack in this form, and if you get hit by it, you're going to die. So be careful of the screen nuke. Just stay in the middle of his legs when he's doing it. Wait for him to have an opening and then hit him back. You know, that's all this boss fight really amounts to. Wait for an opening and then strike. And hit the weak point, obviously, for massive damage. But I haven't heard that being said in years. But again, it's very simple when you know how to deal with it. But if you make one mistake, you're gonna cost. You know, a single mistake will kill you in this boss fight. For example, I almost died by that attack. That attack over hits you with every hit, and you don't get the idea to use the Dragon Boost to give yourself some invincibility frames, you will be killed in one hit. So stay in between his legs and try and keep away as far as you can. You can also stay miles away from him as well on the floor on the other end of the arena, which means he won't be able to attack you with the lasers or shootout, but it's much more risky doing that. I do advise just staying in his legs, otherwise bye-bye, you know? But that's it, basically. Rinse and repeat this boss fight until he goes down. Huzzah! Get a nice refill of our health. And now it's time for the final and hardest phase of the boss.
Your machines won't save you from the dragon you've unleashed! I will destroy everything you throw at me! I will make you pay for what you have done!
I'd like to see you try.
And here we go, folks, this is it. This is the final boss against Lord Brevon himself. Now, he has a very easy pattern to deal with, but if he hits you, he will annihilate you, you know? He has one move that will knock out half of your health in one strike, so just be careful of that. Now, to start things off, he's going to throw mines at you. Whenever you see mines, jump out of the way of said mines, and try and jump up when he's dashing at you, because otherwise he will try and throw you into the mine explosion. After that, he will end up shooting an energy blast on the floor. Jump over the energy blast and try and stay in the air and jump over him when he does his one slash. If he hits you with that slash, you're dead. It's game over pretty much, so do not let that attack hit you under any circumstances. That does so much damage, it can basically be the win or losing factor of this boss fight. And also, he'll do this dashing move where he's going to fly across the screen. I just advise trying to run right as much as you can, and you will eventually dodge his attack, you know? And a good way to deal with, you know, a good way to learn how to dodge his attacks is simply to listen out. Like, every time he goes to use his ultra super one-hit kill move, he will scream, yeah, beforehand. So, there's that. But yeah, final boss done.
She's alive! I'm sorry.
You weren't yourself. It's okay. It's okay. I couldn't save it. I couldn't even stop him from getting away.
Don't beat yourself up. Brevon didn't get the stone, and his army was destroyed with his ship. Thanks to you, our mission is complete.
But at what cost? How are we going to survive without any more energy?
Lilac, you might want to look up.
It's not destroyed? It must have changed form!
Call me impressed.
An opportunity has fallen to our world. We now realize that the Kingdom Stone was never fading, but changing in ways that were transparent to us in our lust for power and prestige. The wind carries its eternal glow to the furthest reaches of our lands, and former enemies extend their hands to one another, acknowledging the error of their ways. Creatures, both mutant and metal, still ravage the landscape, and it will be some time before we can dispose of them once and for all. Perhaps most troubling of all is that Lord Brevon, the monster who threw our world into chaos, is nowhere to be found. There is still much work to be done. We are not completely out of danger. But my people and I will rest easy tonight, knowing that the bravery and sacrifice of a select few
have given our world another chance.
I never got to properly thank you all for helping me.
Hey, we're buds. That's what buddies do.
Well, on behalf of the Coalition of Planets, you have our sincerest gratitude.
Psst, come here, you.
Thank you.
So, I guess this is it, huh?
I'm gonna miss you. Me too.
Well, who knows? I could be coming back sooner than you think. Until then, just take care of yourselves. The world needs you.
See you around, spaceman!
Goodbye, Torque. Bye, Torque.
See you soon!
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of Freedom Planet on Steam. So thank you all for watching this LP. This is a fantastic game that I do recommend you all to go out and buy. This is an amazing experience. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's a fantastic throwback to 16-bit era treasure-based platformers and action games. You know, it's such a fantastic experience. The soundtrack is phenomenal. All boss designs and boss fights are amazing. Pretty much every level in this game is incredible, with the exception of maybe the trap hideout. It's not the best stage in the game, and I already explained why I'm not too fond of that one, but honestly, this game is fantastic. If you haven't played it, I recommend going out and trying it. You know, this will be available on the Wii U at some point in the future, I believe, and it's currently available now on Steam for about $10, I think. So seriously, go and check it out. Check out the soundtrack as well. The soundtrack is phenomenal. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you with the end credits. So thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't be sheepish. And I'll catch you all next time in another LP. And I guess with this, you can now say that the planet has been freed. Because the game's called Freedom Planet, get it? I'm so sorry. But anyway, bye!